He took his first NFL snap under lights and cameras, and by the time the whistle blew, his night had already split in two: the brutal public lesson on the field and a private violation back home that landed like a punch. A rookie's debut is supposed to be messy in the film room. It should never be messy at your front door. Police say video shows 3 suspects entering his house during the game, and investigators estimate roughly $200,000 in property was stolen. Bleacher Report. You remember the sequence. Dillon Gabriel goes out with a concussion, the Browns send the rookie in, and the game turns into a crash course in NFL speed. Sanders completed 4 of 16 passes for 47 yards, threw an interception, lost a fumble, and took 2 sacks, a passer rating that made headlines for all the wrong reasons. But the numbers don't capture the near misses, the throws that were there if timing or chemistry had been slightly different, or the fact that he hadn't taken a single first-team snap in practice before that moment. Context matters, and in this case, context looked like a player getting tested before he had his full toolkit. Reuters. There's an instinct, loud and angry on talk radio, to assign blame like it's the simplest currency. Rex Ryan didn't hold back. If you draft a quarterback high enough to trade up for him, the argument goes you give him a real chance. Critics watched tape of a kid who hadn't thrown with his starters and saw avoidable rust. They made noise. But there's another, quieter logic in NFL rooms that most fans don't see. In-season reps are finite. Teams usually give the starter and the immediate backup the lion's share. Third stringers often learn the playbook from the sideline and the whiteboard. That operational reality doesn't excuse the ugly debut, but it explains why the Browns chose the path they did and why Sanders' first minutes felt like a trial by fire instead of a polished audition. PFSN. Then came the locker room and the part of the story that doesn't show up in analytics. Myles Garrett standing up for the kid. Sanders went in and tried to shoulder the loss, the classic rookie instinct to own the mistake so teammates don't have to. Garrett's response was immediate and blunt. He refused to let the rookie take it alone and told the room as much. That sort of leadership matters. It doesn't fix mechanics, but it preserves a player's confidence long enough for coaches to teach him how to get better. In a season of headlines and hot takes, a veteran keeping a newcomer from collapsing mentally is a play that pays dividends later. Here's the turning point. The Browns did what football teams do when an emergency becomes a certainty. Coach Kevin Stefanski announced this week that Sanders will get the start in Las Vegas. Not because the organization suddenly changed its long-term plan, but because the medical reality of Gabriel's concussion protocol forced their hand. That decision reshapes the next 7 days. Sanders will finally take first-team reps, the playbook will be trimmed into the pieces that fit him best, and coaches will manufacture a week that turns preparation into performance instead of forcing him to improvise on game day. If you want to see a different Shedeur, this is how you'll get him. Reuters. So what does look different actually mean? First, you'll see quicker, cleaner plays, early reads, schemed throws, and tempo designed to get the ball out in under 2.5 seconds. Coaches will build protections and deploy quick game concepts so his footwork and timing get a fair shot, instead of having him hold the ball until the pocket collapses. Second, target distribution changes. Reps with the starters breed familiarity with how receivers plant, break, and sell routes. Jerry Jeudy's hip turn that confused him before becomes familiar when you rehearse it a dozen times on the practice field. Third, the coaching staff will emphasize fundamentals stripped of flair, quick progressions, clearer progressions, and fewer deep Romeo hero throws. That's how you turn flashes into consistent plays. The Browns will give him that structured test this week. It's either the reset he needs or another data point for the staff. Reuters. And yet, even with a full week of preparation, reality is pragmatic. The Raiders aren't a perfect opponent. Their offense has struggled, but their defense still presents pro-level challenges: disguise, pressure packages, and linebackers who hit the gaps. A rookie starter's margin for error is narrow. One hurried throw, one misread, one misprotection call can erase 6 weeks of coaching in a single drive. So the Browns' task is not to hide the rookie forever. It's to manufacture situations where he can succeed repeatedly for short bursts and let the defense do the heavy lifting between those windows. It's the simplest, most fragile path to winning while protecting a young player's long-term growth. No stat here will save you if chemistry and timing remain missing. Off the field, Sanders is dealing with something that has nothing to do with X's and O's, a home burglary during his debut. That kind of personal trauma doesn't just create headlines, it affects sleep, focus, and the small rituals that help a player recover between practices. Adjusting to the NFL is already a sprint. Now he's trying to learn under pressure while police sort through footage and missing items. The team's role here is twofold: coach football and protect a human being. A staff that can do both well may salvage more than a single game. Bleacher Report, let's level with the optics. Some will say the Browns messed up his reps, others will say they followed an established roster logic. Both views contain truth. The most useful measure is outcomes. If Sanders uses this week of full preparation to deliver a steady, cleaner performance, under center timing, quicker decisions, and smarter pocket management, it silences critics. If he's erratic again, the tape will validate the cautious approach that prioritized Gabriel's development. Coaches aren't ideological, they're results-driven. Give a guy the reps and he either produces or he doesn't. That's the brutal but fair currency of this league. What you should watch this week: practice reports that mention his timing with the number one receivers, coach speak about simplified concepts, and whether the Browns lean on the running game and play action to buy the rookie rhythm. And after Sunday, watch how he handles the mental rebounds. Does he play with energy and belief, or does the weight of the debut and the burglary linger in his eyes? The tape tells the technical story. Body language and bounce back tell you the psychological one. If you leave with one image, make it human, not sensational. A kid who got thrown into fire on a Sunday after months of waiting, who then learned his home had been violated while he was out doing his job, and who walked into a locker room where a star teammate refused to let him carry the loss alone. That's the piece of this season that matters more than any stat line, whether Cleveland can turn a traumatic, chaotic week into a structured reset. Because the difference between could have been and will be often arrives not in magic, but in how a team treats a young player in the hour after he breaks. So watch the Week 12 game not for vindication or cancellation, but for evidence. Did preparation change him, and did the team give him the conditions to actually be better? If the Browns did what they say they will, you might see a very different quarterback in Vegas. If they didn't, you'll see exactly why practice reps and human support matter more than hot takes. Aaron Rodgers limped into the locker room at halftime, and the Pittsburgh Steelers carried a 10-6 lead. And suddenly this game isn't just about field position and missed chances anymore. It's about the health